I heard about this woman in a very cold winter morning, in the middle of the winter. She texts her husband, said, windows frozen, won't open. And he texts back and said, gently put warm water and gently tap the edges with a hammer. 5 minutes later, the wife texts back. She said, the computer is really messed up now. I just give it a second because, this is like a domino effect, people getting it. I want to talk to you today about with you in the fire. With you in the fire. I hope you're aware that this past week we celebrated Lag BaOmer. Okay? Lag BaOmer, the name Lag is not really a Hebrew word. Is the pronunciation. In Hebrew, every number, every letter of the alphabet is a number, okay? So it goes from 1 to 10, and then 20, 30, 40, 50, all the way to 100, and then 200, 300, and 400. That you go from the first letter to the last letter. So the number 33 is Lamed Gimel. Lamed is 30, Gimel is 3. So, Lamed, L, Gimel, G. So, sometimes we pronounce the letters inventing vowels in a way that it sounds like a word. So, Lag means 33. 33 is the 33rd day in the counting of the Omer. Okay? And you want to ask, what's so special about the 33rd day? Well, we count for 49 days between Pesach and Shavuot, but the 33rd day is a very special day for different reasons. One of the reasons is that is the Yortzeit of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. In case you don't recognize the name, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, according to the rabbis, was the author of the Zohar. Okay? So the Zohar, well, it is in these days pretty much the most important book of Kabbalah, of Jewish mysticism. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was the one, and that's why he's so revered in the Jewish world. He was the one that through the Zohar brought light into the ways of God. It's something that sometimes we all feel, and we all have kind of our own understanding and how God relates to the world and to each one of us. But Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was the one who was able to put all that together, and he wrote the Zohar. And by doing that, he brought light to a dark topic in the Jewish religion. Because we know what we have to do. Sometimes we understand a little bit of why we have to do the things that God asks us to do. But that's as far as it goes. Bar Yochai brought an even deeper level of understanding of the relationship between God and the people of Israel. And that's why I say that he came to bring light to the world. Now, that's why it's not a coincidence that one of the things that we do during Lag BaOmer is to light bonfires. You may have seen that in Israel, if you were there at the time of Lag BaOmer, or maybe you watch a video of what they do. They light bonfires everywhere in Israel, but specifically in Meron, in Ar Meron, which is the grave of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So that's what they do. So if you ever wonder why the bonfires, it's because the bonfires represents the light that Bar Yochai brought to the world through the Zohar. The light that allows us to appreciate God and to understand God better. But there is another bonfire. Sometimes we don't talk too much about it. That is somehow related to the same concept. And that is the burning bush in the Torah. That is, it's a very interesting thing, because I don't know if you remember the episode when Moses saw the burning bush. And Moses said, what's going on here? The bush is on fire, but it's not being consumed. So I want to investigate what's going on at that scene. And then basically what happened is God spoke to Moses from within the fire, from inside the fire, and told him, this is a holy place, remove your sandals, and you may remember the rest of the story. But it is interesting that the rabbis explained that it was a deeper message there that, as I mentioned, is connected with the kind of light that Bar Yochai brought to the world. In the sense that God speaking from inside the fire was a message for Moses to let him know that even within the pain of the slavery, God was still with them. Because this is something that happens to all of us. That sometimes when we feel that our world is burning, where is God? When we go through difficulties in life, where is God? And when the people of Israel back then, they were suffering with the slavery, where is God? In the times of Bar Yochai, when they were chased by the Romans and they couldn't practice Judaism and rabbis been killed, to the point that Bar Yochai has to be into hiding, right? And he went to a cave, and that's when he came out with the Zohar. And then people asked the same question, where is God? It was difficult to see God in times of darkness. But Bar Yochai taught that God is within the fire. God is with you in the middle of the fire. Same message that God explained to Moses at the burning bush. Doesn't matter how painful is the situation you have to go through, God is with you in the middle of the fire. And this is something that I will believe in this generation we are all feeling. We feel the same way. Especially after October 7, I will feel that the Jewish people ask the same question. We feel the heat. We feel the heat around us. We feel the fire. We feel the discrimination. We feel the harassment. We feel the pain of the hostages in Gaza. We feel it. And we ask, where is God? And then Lag BaOmer is there to remind us that God is with us, even in the middle of a fire. And this could happen sometimes when we go through a loss, when we go through difficult times. Because the other thing that we observe on Lag BaOmer, and that's what I mentioned, that one thing was the yahrzeit of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The other one is that during the first 32 days of the Omer is a semi-mourning period. I don't know if you knew that. Some people don't shave, and they don't listen to music, and they have other restrictions. Why is that? Because 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva died tragically. And they were in a big pain in mourning. But then on the 33rd day, the students stopped dying. And then the 33rd day, the Lag BaOmer, was a day of celebration. But I was thinking, is that so? The students just stopped dying. They were still, maybe there was recently a funeral. They were still sitting Shiva. They were still, feeling the loss of all those people. How is it possible to celebrate right away? Well, and I believe that the moment that we can feel that God is with us in the midst of a challenge, the moment we can feel that, because one thing is thinking about it, one thing is, trying to intellectualize the concept. When you feel the presence of God during your times of trial, that time is a time that we can add joy, even though the challenge is still there. So that's why the day of Lag BaOmer, the day that people understood that it's a special relationship that we have with God, if we can see God within the fire is the day that we can feel joy regardless of whatever the circumstances are around us. And that's why I was going to say, we have that light over there in the synagogue. It's something that sometimes, unless you are a visitor, that you've never been to the synagogue, most people won't pay attention to that. Am I right? But the thing is, that is a very powerful reminder when we come to synagogue that the light of God is always with us. And I realize when you come to synagogue, some people come to celebrate. Some people come to find comfort. Some people went through a loss. Some people are going through difficult times at work, at school, with their families. Some people feel that their life is in flame. But we have to remember at that time when we come to shul, two things. Number one, we are like the burning bush a little bit, right? How is it that you have to ask this about yourself? How is it that our life seems to be on fire, but it's not being consumed? You're still there. You're still going on, just like the bush. Realize that. Because you see, when you feel that you are in the middle of a storm, you know, you're not crushed under. You're in the middle. You still have your life, and you still have the energy to keep moving forward. So realize that. And number two, be able to see not just the fire, but the light that comes from within. So when we come to synagogue, we should remember the message of Lag BaOmer, in the sense that the light of God is always with us, regardless of the challenges that we may have around us. Shabbat Shalom.